Hey guys, welcome to my channel and I'm your host Pabitra Kumar Sikdar is today going to show you a demo on how to create a Azure Kubernetes service on Azure portal. So let me begin with this. So first I would explain you what this means. Like whenever you talk about Kubernetes, right? So we have some Kubernetes components which I would like to delve into first, and then later on I'll show you how to create the Kubernetes cluster on Azure portal. So initially in Kubernetes components, we generally have a control plane and then we have a node. So control plane components there is you can see there is a control manager, and then we have API server, and then we have etcd, then we have kube scheduler. So control manager, generally what it does is it manages the controllers for routine tasks, and then we have etcd. This maintains the cluster state and configuration. Then kube API server, what it does is it exposes the Kubernetes APIs for management tools, and then at last we have kube scheduler, which generally determines the node assignments for the workloads. So by the name itself, it's very clear about their roles and responsibilities, but then again I have just explained you more about it, except from etcd, which is a little unique, and right, it is the brain of a Kubernetes cluster. It saves all the state, cluster state and configuration, so you can consider etcd as a brain of the cluster. Then I go to the node components. In node components, you see there are three things. The first one is kubelet, that which interacts with the control plane and manages containers. Then we have kube proxy, it manages the network communication. And then we have container runtime, which generally allows containerized applications to run on it. Okay, so next, so I have a Kubernetes components. So you have control plane, and then we have the node, right? So in the control plane section, I have told you already, right? We have kube API server, etcd, kube scheduler, and kube controller managers. So then we have Kubernetes components, which is node, and there we have kubelet, kube proxy, and container runtime. So a kubelet, here you see that it processes orchestration requests from the control plane, and container runtime, it allows containerized application to run and interact with additional resources, like all the services are there, load balancer and all. And then we have kube proxy, which is like it routes the network traffic and manages IP addresses for the services and pods. So now let me talk about the Kubernetes components. So here you see the API server, which receives and creates a deployment resource. Then we have controller manager, which creates a replica set resource, and replica set controller creates a resource, that is a pod resource. And then we have scheduler, which actually determines a node for the workload. Then we have kubelet, which schedules the containers, and then we have container runtime interface, interfaces for pod and container creation. And generally we have kube proxy, which manages the networking on each node. And finally we have the pod. Okay, so this is the workflow. Now let me go on to the Azure portal and show you how it works. Okay, so this is how my Azure portal looks like. So here you just have to type in marketplace. If you just click on marketplace, and then you go to containers here on the left hand side, and just type in over here AKS. So here you will be able to see Azure Kubernetes service. So if I just click on create, so just you have to select your subscription, then you have to select your resource group. For suppose I already have a resource group, but you can just type in and create your own resource group. I have selected AKS resource group. Then because I am showing it as a demo to you, so I am selecting dev or test. Then Kubernetes cluster name, I can give it as AKS1 one hyphen, sorry, AKS 1 hyphen test. Okay, and then now here you have an option to select a region. So there are some region for which you will not be able to select the availability zone. So for suppose if I select here South France, something like that, I'm not seeing this coming up. So if I just select anything on East US, okay, East US, so you see I have zone 1, zone 2 availability zones available for me to choose and select. So since I am doing this for testing purpose, so I'll select here India to save some cost. Okay, I have selected South India, and here you see I have selected AKS pricing tier as free. So you can choose standard, which is like the recommended one for mission critical and production workloads, so that you can have up to 5000 nodes per cluster and uptime SLA is 99.95%. So this is the recommended one, but because I'm showing it for demo purpose, so I'm selecting the free, which is like you'll be charged for VM storage and networking usage, but this is for only experimenting, learning, simple testing, or workloads with fewer than 10 nodes. So it's very less capable of handling multiple nodes. So but since it is for testing purpose, I'm selecting it as free. Now you can see Kubernetes version. So I'm selecting 1.27.7. so generally Microsoft releases the version which is supported for only 1 year. So if you select this version, it may be selected for supported for next 1 year. So be mindful and check the AKS Azure documentation and see which is the latest version, and based on that you select that, so that your version stays for a longer period of time. And you know, right, there is a validity for 1 year. So you can check the documentation, and based on that you can select the Kubernetes version. Later on you can also upgrade it as well. Then enabled with patch, just left it as it is. Local accounts with RBAC, left at it as it is. Then you see you have an agent pool which has node size standard D4, D5, OSQ Ubuntu, node count is 2.5, availability zone is none, and max pod per node is 110. But you can also click on it and you can select as per your choice. Like you can give the pool name as per your choice. You can select Azure Linux or Ubuntu Linux as an OSQ. You can then also use Azure Spot instance. You can change the node size, like right now it is standard D4 VS5, but you can also choose another one. I will just show you here. So you can choose any of the SKU which is needed by you. For now I will just go with the default value. Here at the end you see scale method, manual. You can do it manually, or you can use auto scale as well, which is the recommended one, so that cluster will automatically increase when the workloads are running and there is a sudden surge in the traffic. So here I'm setting the minimum node count as 2, maximum node count as 5. So you see the maximum node count allowed for an case cluster is 1000 per node pool, and 5000 nodes across all the node pools in the cluster. So you remember we were seeing the limitations, that is 110. So here you can set it, so minimum 15 and 250 is the maximum. You can also enable the public IP for that node, and you just have to select here. Then you have labels, you can give the key value over here. You can select taints. Taints are basically the tuples that will like help you to either select the pod or determine which pod to be scheduled on which node, so that you have that option. So you can just give the value here and select the effect, like no schedule means if you select no schedule and give the value, then it will not be any pod deployment will not happen in this in particular node. So like that you can give the value and you can update it. So right now I'm just not making any changes here. Okay, selecting the same one. You can add multiple node as well, and I'll be going to networking. So here in networking you can enable as private cluster, which then will not have any public access. So you can enable private access and it will be restricted with public access, but you can also enable public access, like set authorized IP ranges and all. You can select container networking, as I told you, right? Like kubenet is used for the network communication, like whatever you want to do, like all the networking stuffs are handled by kubenet. So then next what we have is uh, Azure CNI. You can select Azure CNI as well. That is also used for like larger node pools, where each node and pod is assigned a unique IP for advanced configurations. So kubenet is generally for smaller node pools, and the pod assignment is also logically happening for different IP addresses from the subnet for a simpler setup. So kubenet is for a smaller setup, whereas Azure CNI is for a bigger setup. You can also give the DNS prefix, like mine is AKS1-test-DNS, which is automatically taken up, but you can also give your own customized DNS prefix here. Then networking policy, I'm selecting Calico, which is one of the most famous open source networking solution, but you can also select either your own service, or you can also select Azure's as well. And load balancer is standard, which is always recommended, because standard load balancer gives you a lot of facility, and which has expanded capabilities. You can see here, right? Like over basic SQ, so it gives you high availability and all. So basic is not recommended generally, but you can go ahead and do that. Then we have integrations. If I click on integrations, then you can here connect with your container registry, and you can also have your own containers. Either you can create your own container registry name here, or what I can do is, right now I have already created my own, so I'll be selecting one which I have created earlier. So you can create the container registry from Azure portal. Then Azure policy, apply at scale enforcements and safeguards for AKS clusters is in a centralized. So consistent manner through Azure policy. Here you can choose enabled. If you choose enable, then Azure policy is recommended for dev test configuration also, it says. So it applies at scale enforcements and safeguards for AKS clusters in a centralized consistent manner through Azure policy. So you can, or any policies can be applied to your AKS clusters via Azure policy. You must have seen that there is a Azure policy in Azure portal, where from where you can very simplistically assign policies which you have created even to these resources as well. So yeah, that's done. Then we come to monitoring. Here you can have your own monitoring, like right now I'm choosing default, so it has Prometheus, metrics, alert rules, Grafana is not there, and container logs and events. So there is a custom configuration as well, where you can select the container logs and have your own Azure monitoring workspace. You can have your own Grafana, managed Grafana, and then you have your alerts, like custom alerts, where you can get a notification if the CPU is more, memory is more, then you will get an email. You will have an email where you will get notified, or you can select it as off as well. So right now I'm selecting it off. And then advanced, if you click on advanced, here you have infrastructure resource group, MC, AKS, so you can give your own as well. So anything you are deploying for this particular cluster should be under this resource group. Then you have tags, you can give the tag value and resources. And then finally we have review and create. So I'll just go to review and create first. It will run a validation, and it will check if all the things have been given and passed, and later on it will show you if everything is good to go. Okay, then if I click on create, it's basically creating the Kubernetes resource group and the components in the backend. If I just click on this, I'll get to know what's happening behind the scene. Yeah, so now the deployment is done. I just click on deployment details. You can see what all things are created. So AKS1-test is the AKS cluster name, and okay, now let me go to the resource. So you can see the resource group name is AKS RG. There is a kubelet which is attached to it as a network plugin, and then we have the Kubernetes version as 1.27.7. we have one node pool, and here you can find out all the details, the IPs and the policy and the API server address, node pool details, configurations, and Kubernetes service and everything. So here, if I go down here, I can see the namespaces. Total namespaces are there. So these are the namespaces which have been created. Trigger, operator, gatekeeper, calico system, default, kube system, kube public, kube node lease. These are created by default. You can just make a note of it. And then when I go to workloads, here I'll be able to see some more information. We just need to refresh it. Okay, so these are the workloads you could see. Type like these are kube system, these are gatekeeper system, these are kube system, trigger operator, calico system. So okay, we have core DNS, we have core DNS autoscaler, connectivity agent, and then services and ingresses. So these are the services. If I go to storage, nothing attached. If I go to configurations, I could see so many things. ca.cert, then we have CNI config, core DNS autoscaler, and then if I go to metrics, yes. Yeah, so you can select this and give a metrics name like container service and then cluster health average. So you can just set up your own metrics chart here, which will give you the health status or whatever details you select. So metrics which are available here are scale down, cool down operations, unneeded nodes, unscheduled pods, then total amount of available memory, total number of available CPU usage, disk used, memory, network. So all these things you can set up as a metric and you can create your own metric chart. Then if I go to insights, I would be able to see some more things. So here you can configure monitoring using Grafana. If I just click on manage or configure monitoring, then there is, you see, container insights, managed Prometheus, and managed Grafana. So if I just click on this, a Grafana instance will be created automatically. So let me show you this as well, just in case you'll be able to have more understanding on doing the monitoring of a Kubernetes container. So not enabled it says, but let me just refresh it. Okay, so please click here to track the details. Okay, no problem. If I just refresh it, let me see. Okay, it still says configure monitoring. Oh, okay, this is still happening. Okay, so now you see, like you are getting all these things in insights. You will be getting live update, like time range last 6 hours. You can see node CPU utilization, memory utilization, all these dashboards will be coming up. So you can mainly do some troubleshooting. I'm just clicking here enable Prometheus and see if that works. Okay, I think this is done already, so this is still going on. Yes, here I see. That is the reason why I'm not able to see the dashboards. So it is still taking some time because deployment is in progress. So once this is done, you will be able to see the dashboards for CPU, node health and all based on the time settings you have given and the time range. This is quite useful, and monitoring is by default on the portal. So it's amazing, right? You don't have to put in some additional third-party resources, but you have inbuilt, and Microsoft Azure provides it directly on the platform. Let's just wait, let's just refresh this. I think this might have been completed, take some time. Okay, this is still taking some time. It is currently on creation phase. Okay, let it be. I think I have already explained you enough, and then now I think that's it. That's enough for now. And the last thing which I would like to let you know, that if you click on resource health, you will also see the current status. Like if any issues are there, it will let you know. Right now it says there are no known issues affecting this Kubernetes cluster. If you want to do troubleshooting, you can also click on troubleshoot tool, which will give you guided steps, like in this kind of problem what will be the troubleshooting scenario. Like I see here, right? So if you go here, you will see various scenarios, whatever you are facing, or whichever issues you are currently observing or experiencing. You can just click on troubleshoot, and it will give you more detailed steps to actually diagnose the issue and help fix the issue. So at the end, if you're not able to like resolve the issue, you can also create a support request, and you can get the help from the support engineers. So maybe I'll go back, and now I would like to show you something. So how to access. So let me go to overview. So yeah, so this is a command prompt which I want to share with you guys, and here it is. So once you have created this AKS cluster, now how you should do this. You can open PowerShell, or you can open command prompt as well. So what I am right now doing is I'm opening command prompt, and I'll be typing some commands with which you can able to configure or connect to your AKS cluster. So let me use this. Okay. So I need to type in PowerShell. It will magically turn my command prompt to PowerShell. Okay. If I just type in EZ account show, it will show me the account which I'm currently logged into or have access to. So next, what I need to type in is okay, is it configure defaults group equal to AKS RG. So this is my RG name, resource group name. You can also give in your resource group name here. So let me just hit on enter. Okay, my bad. Okay, so this is done. Now is it AKS get credentials. Okay, so the app name which I gave, what was the app name? This is the resource group name, this is subscription, and AKS 1 hyphen test, I remember, if I'm not wrong. Okay. This AKS 1 hyphen test. Okay, so now AKS 1 hyphen test is set to current context to my location user slash psikdar dot cube slash config. So whatever I do now, it will take up or it will consider that application, and it is inside the resource group. So the command which I run right now, it will be taking up all and it will be showing me the results from that particular resource group. So okay, that is done. Now let me run some commands. Okay, sorry, my bad. Okay, no resources working. Okay, these are the namespaces you see. So mostly I have shown you everything. Now one last command. Okay, no resources found, right? So now next thing what I would do is I try to run this. This is a command which I have to run, and this is for deploying the app. So let me go back, and I had a Docker hub. Okay, so I have just logged into my Docker hub, and okay, so I have just logged into my Docker hub, and this is the image which I saved over here. Now if I go back to the portal and go back to my command prompt, and this is the command which I have typed over there. You can use this kubectl create deployment the app name. So right now my app name is AKS1 hyphen test. Okay, so and then I have given image equal to my image name, that is this one, slash apache v1 and replica is equal to 1. See, if I type this and run this command, let me see what happens. Okay, so it says it is created. So let me now run. Okay, you see there is a pod which is running right now, but I could see there is an error message coming up. So interestingly, I would show you something good here, what it should be. If you see any error coming up, what you should do, then you should run kubectl describe pod AKS1 hyphen test. So this is where I can see all the details of a pod and do the troubleshooting in case any issue comes up. So you can just simply click on kubectl describe pod and the pod name. We'll get to know most of the details here with this command: when it started, start time, node name, service account, priority 0, namespace, default name, then controlled by replica set, IP, then here you can see these details, right, where it is running, what are the mounts it is using. Then if you go to volumes, you can see the volumes here. Then you see events, which is the most important part and which is why we are here. So if you see here the events, it says successfully assigned default agent pool, then failed to pull image. That means some problem with the image. Back off pulling image, error image pull back off. This means you see the failed operations. That means that is an error and you have to fix the problem with the image. There is some problem with the image. It's clearly saying fail to pull the image. Now if I type in kubectl logs and then AKS 1-test. Okay, I think I have to type in kubectl get pods. Okay, so this is the pod name actually. kubectl get, and this is the pod name. I think I'm doing something wrong here. Yes, now you see if I type in kubectl logs AKS the pod name, and it gives me the error from server contain Apache in pod is waiting to start, trying and failing to pull image. So this is it, guys. This is how you access, do the troubleshooting, initially connect to your AKS cluster and check the details. I hope you guys enjoyed and loved to see what I have shared in this video. And if you do like my way of speaking to you, give the sharing information, and as we move further, I'll be sharing a lot of different updates from Azure portal side or from AKS, from DevOps. So do like and share my channel and keep following up with me so that I can share all those updates with you. Thank you, guys.